YouTube? This is your boy Blissway here, and the Critical Drinker is back at it again. Shazam, Fear of the Gods sequel no one wanted. I already know this finna be hilarious. I saw the movie. It was garbage. I fell asleep in it. I slept through the whole movie like this. What? It's over? Alright, I'm going home. Where my car keys at? That's literally what happened. I slept like a baby too. I was just... What? Where everybody go?
A stranger at a party or some dull corporate event, and you end up having what I call a beige conversation. You swap some pleasantries, make a few innocuous jokes, and offer up some mild, inoffensive opinions about the current state of things. It's all perfectly polite and easygoing, but there's no real substance or purpose to it, and by the time it's over, the best you can say is, well, they seem nice enough. And by the following day,
and make sure y'all get over to the Critical Drink and subscribe to my boy's channel.
Well, that's basically my experience of Shazam 2, a perfectly nice, reliably inoffensive, and completely forgettable sequel that nobody really asked for or wanted. A film that did all the things expected of a superhero movie, showed us some good-looking people in tight outfits, delivered a few obligatory action scenes, a tried and tested message about the importance of teamwork, trusting people to make their own choices, and the value of self-sacrifice, and threw in some innocuous jokes that even the most blue-haired of Twitter land whales would struggle to get offended by. And now that I'm sitting here talking about it, I feel like I have to keep referring to a plot synopsis to remind myself of what even happens. Shazam 2 is the very definition of a generic superhero movie, a film that doesn't really do many things wrong, mainly because it doesn't try to do, well, anything. It exists for no other reason than because it can. And yet, ironically, it's probably better than almost anything that Marvel have managed to shit out in the past couple of years, which makes it kind of sad that the film is absolutely bombing at the box office. But don't worry, I'll talk about that one later. Believe that! Anyway, the film once again stars Zachary Levi as Billy Batson, an orphan teenager from a suspiciously clean and efficient looking Philadelphia. Seriously, when I passed through it last year, the place looked like the aftermath of the Battle of Stalingrad. Anyway, Billy has the magical ability to turn into a superpowered godlike being called Shazam because he stole it from a wizard in the previous movie. He and his mates have been working together as a superhero team to fight crime and prevent disasters in the city, but since they're basically a bunch of kids that have been handed godlike powers with no training or preparation, it goes about as well as you might expect. But that's the least of Billy's problems when Hespera and Calypso, a pair of evil gods from another dimension, break into a museum and steal the wizard's staff that gave Billy his powers. Their objective is to recover the golden apple from the Tree of Life so they can use it to restore their own world to peace and prosperity. So there's some fighting and one of the gang gets captured and Billy and the others try to negotiate his release, and there's a wacky joke about a magical pen that transcribes everything they say that gets hammered into the ground so fucking hard that it practically penetrates the Earth's core. Then there's more fighting and Hespera gets captured by Billy, who decides to leave her alone and unguarded in a prison cell. She's a fucking demigod with magical control over the elements, mate. Do you really think a set of steel bars are gonna stop her? Anyway, much to my non-surprise, Hespera escapes and steals the golden apple, but then Billy's mate Freddy also manages to escape because Hespera's other sister feels sorry for him and lets him go. Sure, okay. Then Calypso goes rogue and decides to wipe out all of humanity so that the rest of the movie can happen. So she summons a big army of disposable CGI monsters for the humans to fight. And since most of the gang have lost their powers over the course of the movie, it's up to Billy to face her one-on-one in a big CGI battle scene where I was never entirely sure of what was happening or why, but I know that at the end he sacrifices his life to stop her. But that's okay because then Wonder Woman shows up for some reason and brings him back to life, and everything goes back to normal like none of this even happens. You know, it's almost difficult to criticize a movie like Shazam 2 because it's so completely lacking in ambition and original ideas that it almost can't go wrong. The plot is the most standard boilerplate superhero.
Yeah, somebody told me Wonder Woman show. Like I said, I fell asleep because I didn't see the credits. But lucky my friend told me what happened. He said Wonder Woman showed up and saved Billy. And I was like, why? Why? I thought they didn't want her to...
story you could ask for. An evil enemy wants to unleash the apocalypse on Earth using a magical plot device that's the key to everything, and it's up to a plucky band of heroes to master their powers and work together to stop it. It's basically the Avengers, Justice League, and Suicide Squad, only with a bunch of characters that no one really cares about. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a few moments where the stupidity reaches critical mass, and even the old "they're just kids" excuse isn't enough to explain it away. Like, characters with overwhelming speed and strength that should allow them an easy victory consistently stop in the middle of fights to marvel at how cool they are, allowing time for their enemies to regroup and come at them again. And then there's the totally inexplicable stuff, like one character who teleports out of the way of an incoming energy blast, only to get caught by it like 10 seconds later because I guess she teleported in an exact straight line. Bullshit! I mean, seriously, have you never heard of stepping aside? Power levels fluctuate wildly throughout the film. Shazam takes serious damage just by getting thrown against a wall, but later in the film he's able to punch through an entire building without even missing his hair up. Not to mention that nobody seems to spill a single drop of blood in the entire movie, even a character who gets impaled by a fucking dragon. And then there's the ending, that feels about as cheap and contrived as Ant-Man 3. Remember Star Trek Into Darkness, where Kirk sacrifices himself to save the Enterprise, only to get resurrected by Khan's magical bullshit blood like 5 minutes later?
Not a great plan.
Well, that's basically Shazam 2. Remember when movies had stakes and consequences? I like that. There's also a problem with cast bloat in this movie. There's like 6 members of the Shazam team, but only 2 of them get any real character development. The others just kind of hang around in the background. But damn, I wouldn't mind seeing more of this one if you catch my drift.
So yeah, she was the very attractive
one of the
one.
other characters is that she really loves Skittles in what has to be one of the most shameless and absurd pieces of product placement I've ever seen.
Think about who is the actor
all
that's
this
played that.
criticism's made me thirsty. Excuse me while I open a can of delicious Pepsi to quench my thirst.
Let's see who played her. I'm curious.
I don't know how I'd get by without it. Zachary Levi is decent as Shazam, bringing the same manic, childish energy as the first movie, and watching him swagger around in his big, goofy red costume, it's kinda hard not to like the guy just a little bit. Billy's a clueless kid that's totally out of his depth in this situation, and there's a decent little subplot about his angst over growing older and losing the family that he's come to rely on. It's not exactly Shakespeare, but it's enough to keep his character arc ticking over. Helen Mirren does her best in a part that's not really worthy of her talents, and while Jimon Honso is always fun to watch, the movie doesn't really give him much to do except to crack a few deadpan jokes here and there. But by far the worst offender has got to be Lucy Liu, who looks bored out of her mind and phones in a performance that only serves to highlight how clunky her dialogue is. I suspect that most of her scenes were filmed against a green screen, reacting to something that wasn't even there, but it's a bit of a problem when the main antagonist of your movie looks like they couldn't give a shit if they win or lose. And I guess that basically sums up my own experience of this movie. I was never particularly engaged with it because I never got the sense that anything or anyone was genuinely at risk. Just like Black Adam, it becomes difficult to pick apart the writing of Shazam 2 because by the time you come to think about it, you've forgotten half the stuff that even happens. Were the characters likable? I mean, I think so. The actors seem pleasant enough, but they get so little development that it's tough to say anything substantial about them. What about the action scenes? Well, I vaguely remember a bunch of stuff exploding and some disposable CGI monsters showing up, but that's about
I found
it.
her. Here she
Were
is.
the jokes funny? Well, most of the humor felt about 5 years out of date, and the recurring gags were used way too
Her name
much.
is
But it all seemed
Anna.
pretty good-natured and well-intentioned.
No, not Anna.
Unlike
Wait,
the MCU,
Rachel
I never got
Zegala.
the sense that straight white men were legally
nice.
mandated to be the butt of every single joke in this film. But the biggest question I find myself asking about Shazam 2 is, what was even the point of this movie? As much as the first Shazam was a welcome relief from the bleak, desaturated nihilism of the Snyderverse, it wasn't exactly a roaring success at the box office, and it definitely didn't feel like it needed a sequel. Not to mention the fact that just like The Flash and Aquaman 2, it represents a creative dead end for the DCU, so there's not a whole lot of incentive to watch it. Basically what I'm saying is that the first Shazam was an ideal time to play it safe. This is not. This is the time to go all in, take risks, do the unexpected. And therein lies the rub, dear viewer. The days when you could just trot out another generic boilerplate superhero movie like the dozens of others that came before it are a thing of the past. The superhero genre is heading into its twilight years now, and if you really want to grab audiences waiting attention, then you have to raise the bar of quality, passion, and imagination beyond not making something terrible. As I said at the start of this review, I came away from Shazam 2 with no real sense that I'd seen anything significant. Just like that conversation with a pleasant but forgettable stranger, there's definitely worse ways to spend your time, but I can't really say this is worth spending your hard-earned cash on. Now, just before I fuck off back into the ether, I wanted to make you aware of a little project that I've been working on. My first ever comic book, which is an officially licensed prequel to the Rambo franchise, is now available to order through Indiegogo. A New Kind of War tells the story of Colonel Troutman when he was a young Special Forces operative behind enemy lines in the Korean War. And well, if you're a fan of that particular franchise and you're interested in delving into the expanded backstory, then you might just find it interesting. Either way, I'll leave a link in the description and you can take a look. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Doesn't tell us her age though.
Go away now.
We already know this is Megan Good. They had Megan Good in there for no reason. What was the point? I actually want to know. Looking all sexy though. Megan Good always looks sexy. I saw two hot females in this. Megan Good and the I just looked up her name. The other Shazam woman. Oh wait. Her name is Goosey Calabla. What the this long ass name? The hell? Never mind. Anyways. Yeah, she not bad. That's all I can say. I think a lot of people just like seeing sexy hot women in tight leather clothes. I think that was the only best part about that movie was seeing Megan Good in that outfit and the other chick. That long ass name, I ain't gonna even say her name. But yeah, Drinker, you right, man. They should have went all in with this, but they fumbled the ball. Cause I fell asleep. What? Where'd everybody go? I'm out of here. Anyways, guys, make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. And Drinker, keep up the work, man. You setting these moves right. You doing a damn good job. And I'll see you guys later. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Tonight we will be playing Resident Evil 4 Remake. So make sure you click the link down below. Join my Twitch stream at Blissway406. And I'll see you guys on the next time. Peace. Let's check this joint on out, y'all.